again, so we were able to do this and start planning things on a, like I say, a rushed basis. Unfortunately, one of the things that got omitted, which we realized during the week, was the benchers. But every cloud has a silver lining, and our friend Harry, who wants to make Aliyah and take as little as possible with him, is very glad to contribute his benchers to this party. So I have a few anecdotes that I'll intersperse, and then we'll have Margaret just speak, whatever. One day, back in, I guess she was about 3 years old, just about 3, I was kidding around with Audrey, the woman who took care of my mom and then took care of the kids. And I said, Audrey, you give me heartburn. Does she give you heartburn, Margaret? And Margaret says, no, she gives me lunch. And then one day Miriam was talking to her and said, it's a mystery. I love a mystery. How about you, Margaret? Do you love a mystery? And Margaret said, no, I love Harry. So,
who's Harry?
Who is Harry? Harry can stand up. So, Margaret? I'll have a chance.
Good morning and welcome to my Bar Mitzvah. Thank you all for coming from near and far to celebrate this milestone in my life. Because we are all starting to prepare for Pesach, I would like to talk about women in Sefer Shemot and also discuss women's obligations during the Seder. The Torah reports that Pharaoh became concerned about the birth rate of Bnei Israel. He ordered the midwives to kill all of the Hebrew newborn boys. We are then told about 2 midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, who risked their lives to save the Jewish boy. They clearly went behind Pharaoh's back because they disobeyed his order. When Pharaoh asked why the baby boys were not being killed, the midwives replied that the Jewish women were giving birth too quickly before they arrived. The Torah does not clearly state whether the midwives were Egyptian or Jewish women, but it definitely took a lot of guts to lie to Pharaoh like that. Another important woman in the story is Pharaoh, the daughter of Pharaoh. Much like the midwives, the daughter of Pharaoh did the right thing when everyone around her was doing wrong. When she saw a baby boy in a basket floating in the river, she arranged to save the child. There is even a midrash that Hashem enabled her to stretch out her arm and reach the basket herself. She named the baby Moshe and raised him as a member of her family, letting him live in the lifestyle of a prince, even though he was a Hebrew boy. Because of her, Moshe had a good, healthy childhood. These 3 women showed courage in saving the lives of infants they did not know when it was quite dangerous to do so. Moshe's mother Yocheved is obviously quite important to the story, as she is the main reason Moshe is alive. The Midrash states that Yocheved and Amram were too scared to have another baby because they feared that if they had a boy, he might be killed at birth if the midwife obeyed Pharaoh. Yocheved was very brave to have given birth to Moshe. After hiding him for months, she demonstrated bitachon, tremendous confidence that God would protect him when she placed him in a basket in the Nile. What Yocheved did, I think, was terrifying and yet courageous. Last but not least, we come to Miriam. I should also mention that Midrash tells us that Shiphrah and Puah really were Yocheved and Miriam. The Midrash informs us that it was Miriam who at a young age reasoned with her parents that their not trying to have another baby could result in the elimination of all Jewish children, a fate worse than having a boy taken away and killed by the midwives. Not only did Miriam persuade her parents to have Moshe, but she also watched over him with her life. Much like Moshe, I have my own Miriam. I know that my mom watches over me and always keeps me safe. This brings me to the second part of my speech, women's obligations at the Seder. There is a general rule that women are not obligated to perform positive commandments that are time bound. Mitzvah asah she'ezman gama. This might lead us to conclude that women would not be obligated to perform the commandments that relate to the Seder night. In the Gemara, however, women are expressly required to eat matzah at the Seder. This may be because matzah, a positive commandment, is tied together with the negative commandment of not eat chametz. It also says in the Gemara that women are obligated to drink 4 cups of wine during the Seder because they were included in the miracles of Yetziat Mitzrayim. The poskim agreed that women are also obligated in the mitzvah of eating maror. The Aruch HaShulchan says that women are obligated to eat maror because they are obligated in all of the commandments. Besides the women I have discussed, whose roles are important today for Shemot, our scholars have linked certain aspects of the Seder to the Imahot, the former matriarchs. The Maharal from Prague claims that the 4 cups of wine allude to the 4 matriarchs, while the Arizal states that the 4 cups reflect the 4 sons. Sarah, the first of the Imahot, together with Abraham, helped to bring monotheism to people in the Middle East. She thus separated those people from their earlier beliefs and in that way sanctified them, much like Kaddish. The first cup of wine is the sanctification of the Pesach holiday. We then go through the Magid portion of the Seder, whose purpose is to teach the Rasha, the wicked son, of his wrongs and bring him back into the fold. This is considered to be analogous to Rivka, who did not give up on her son Esau, although you would not know that from a simple reading of the Tolda. The 3rd cup is reflected to the 3rd son, the Tam, and of Leah, while the 4th son is the one who cannot ask, and for him, Rachel must teach him to open his mouth, patachla, the feminine form is used. I know you're going to investigate this phrase later, so just Google 4 matriarchs and the Seder. It bears nothing in this regard that my 2 sisters carry names of 2 matriarchs. Shira's Hebrew name is Sarah. Shira. I love it when you give me fashion advice and when you let me hang out with your friends. Thank you for being an amazing big sister. And Rachel, thank you for putting up with me for all these years. I love to play games with you and appreciate you letting me borrow your stuff. You're an awesome sister. A big thank you to all my relatives and family friends. I know you always have my back. Dad, when you get me to do my homework, I know it's just because you want me to excel. I love to go for a ride with you in the car, eat ice cream, and watch movies together. I love spending time with you on Shabbos and when you teach me new games. I'm so excited to take care of you. Mommy, thank you for putting together this amazing party. Thank you for putting me to bed almost every single night of my life and making me feel like a princess. I love to talk to you on Shabbos morning and go shopping with you. Not on Shabbos morning. I especially love when I see how friendly you are to my friends. I feel so blessed to have a mom like you. And now a few words from our sponsors.
Usually I speak last, but I think my remarks today are a bit more emotional than I usually do. So before I begin, it falls on me to note that as with any life cycle event, there are many whom we wish were here today, but who are no longer with us. I hope and trust that the values they instilled in us are being transmitted by us to our children. I can't complain that my parents are not here. If they were alive, they'd be over 100 years old. I am sad, however, that since Rachel's bat mitzvah less than 2 years ago, we lost several individuals very dear to us and too young, those being Eitan, Lorraine, and Emil. As this is a life cycle event, however, I can reflect on the other side of that cycle and note that just a few weeks ago, our family was blessed with the births of 2 cousins. One, the first named for our nephew Maxie, and another, the first named for my father, and we are very thankful for that. Turning to Margaret, but also in the nature of life cycles. When we were considering a 3rd child, Miriam noted that her mother was one of 10 siblings, only 4 of whom survived the Holocaust. Those 4 survivors, however, proceeded to have 10 children in the next generation. And from that generation of 10, Margaret Meira was the 20th of the next generation. Cain Yirbu. So, Margaret. Years ago, there might have been a different term to describe Margaret, but pollsters have come up with the term outlier to describe something or someone that doesn't quite fit within the surveyed group. This status as an outlier started with her birth. Let me explain. Miriam and Shira were born on the 2nd of their respective months. If you add those 2 together, 2 plus 2 equals 4, I was born on the 4th of the month. If you add the 3 together, they equal 8, and Rachel was born on the 8th of the month. Margaret could have either been another single-digit even number, or she could have been the total 16. But but she was born on the 29th. And the reverse is true on the Hebrew calendar. Shira and I were born about a week before Rosh Hashanah, late in Elul. Rachel was born a week after Pesach, the end of Nisan. But Margaret was born at the early part of Nisan. Outlier. As she grew, she continued to show these outlying tendencies. When she went to birthday parties as a child, she didn't like pizza. Can you imagine a child not liking pizza? When she went to the beach, she got salt water in her nose. She didn't want to go back for a while, although now she loves it. Oh, excuse me, I forgot this is New Jersey. They call it the shore here. And while Shira and Rachel have had great summers at Camp Stone, Margaret, not as enthusiastic. For Shira and Rachel, Mariah, Margaret, Noah. In the story of Purim, many seemingly random events all appear to be working to the detriment of the Jewish people. Only when viewed collectively and from a distance can we see how Hashem was working throughout, behind the scenes, to benefit his people. My therapist, Rochelle, could you stand up? Suggested that I alter my approach. From a different vantage point, I can see Margaret as my prime daughter. After all, her birthday is March 29th. That is 329. 3, 29, and 329 are all prime numbers. Wow. And let's not forget that she's the one who promised to take care of me when I'm old, which I am. Now, it was the custom to prepare a song for the Bat Mitzvah. In this, I encountered two problems. First, as with Rachel, I can't think of anything that rhymes with Margaret. That didn't stop me, however. The greats made up words when they needed to. Begin the begin. Was ist a begin? So I started to draft a song. You're just too Margaretus, 4 words. You're Dave and Bustard, Frank's no mustard, and that old favorite frozen custard. And then I realized the second problem. Half the audience here is not familiar with the songs that I know, antiques of the last millennium. But as luck would have it, several weeks ago, Margaret was working at home on a school project and happened to try out a few songs that she thought might work in the video she was working on. I was familiar with one of those. So, turning 12, have you ever wondered what it's like to have daughters in their teenage years? Not just one, but 3 precious daughters who at any given moment can drive me to tears. Have you ever counted all the Bergen County shoe stores for days on end? Or maybe you've watched one as she's playing on her Wii, watching TV on her iPod, all while texting a friend. Please turn back, Margaret. Oh no, I'm about to fall apart for the 3rd time today. I'm so far behind, I don't know where to start. Pesach cleaning or an income tax chart. I really need to leave now. Thanks for listening, but let's call it quits now. Yeah, I think I'll go now. Once upon a time, jockey briefs would suffice. Now we need a lingerie store. At moments like this, I'm thankful we didn't have more. Once upon a time, I cooked for myself. Now we've got an open door. Nothing I can do. Why not just invite more? I am often frazzled. But I also recall something that's not in the history books. When I was Margaret's age, the wife of the president gave birth prematurely, and the baby did not survive. President Kennedy was one of the wealthiest families. He was from one of the wealthiest families in the world. And besides all the money, they had the power of the presidency behind them. The finest medical care imaginable. But it didn't help. And here, less than 40 years later, medicine has advanced such that Miriam and I were able to have children. Margaret, your birth is no less a miracle than Moshe's was, and we're very lucky to have the 3 of you. Rak, chazek v'amatz mavod. And starting tomorrow, go out and find some successful careers. So one day, we were in the car, and I asked Rachel to do something, and Rachel said, "Whatever you say, you're the dad." And Margaret added, "Whatever you say, Mommy's the mom." One day, she was sick home from nursery school. She wanted to have a play date anyway. I explained that she couldn't have one while she was sick. She said, "What about when I'm 7?" So, Miriam, if you'd like to...
I think Shira's going to go.
Oh, Shira, okay.
I'm going to keep it short. I had been trying to come up with something to say and decided to look in yesterday's parsha. And right at the beginning it talks about sort of Hashem telling Moshe to instruct Aaron to sort of make this fire so that korbanot could have been given at any time. And this sort of like endless fire kind of reminded me of Margaret. And for anyone that knows her very well, you know she's very spirited and very fun to be around, and I love her very much.
I hadn't heard Stephen's speech before, so I really think he should have gone last because it really was a high note. So you'll have to bear with me for the less high note. Anyway, friends, family, and educators, it's a pleasure and honor. And you're all here because you either are or have been part of our lives. And as I have learned in raising my girls, it takes a village to raise children, and you've all helped me in one way or another. So thank you very much for being part of my support system. This celebration is one of gratitude. It's Hakarat Hatov to Hashem for his assistance in arriving at Margaret's bat mitzvah, our youngest daughter. Margaret's name, Stephen usually is the person who describes names, but her English name is Margaret Rebecca, and she's named for Stephen's Aunt Margaret, whose Hebrew name was Miriam, so we had to find, luckily we found a name. She's named after my father, Meir. Her Hebrew name is Meira. And Rebecca was partly for my grandmother's mother, but also because Shira and Rachel also had names of imahot, so we didn't want to leave Margaret out, that she would have a complex and not have. Although Stephen says that's not true, but you know, it can make up history. You know. So she has the name Rebecca, and her name in Hebrew is Meira Nechama Brandel. Nechama is after my mother's brother, Mendel. So it's a version of Menachem. And Brandel is for Stephen's Aunt Bertha. So these are other ways that we remember things, and remembering is another way to do Hakarat Hatov, and you know, the gratitude for things, for what we have learned from those people and the tradition that we carry on. Margaret and I had an opportunity this fall to learned together in the Matan program that was run at Noam, and we learned about different women and Jewish history and the chain of those women, how that Shalshelet carries on. And I'm very proud that she was able to use some of what she learned in her Dvar Torah. But a little bit about Margaret. She has a very high emotional IQ and often teaches me things. So that, for example, once when I was helping her with her homework, and I said, "You should have done this yesterday," she said, "That's not very helpful." And she was right. But she also, when she makes a comment that I don't necessarily agree with, even in a darkened room, she said, "Don't roll your eyes." And you can tell when that's happening. But she's also the daughter who said to me, "Mom, I want to get married early so that you can meet your grandchildren." So having children has been a learning experience, and I think I probably have learned more from them than they have learned from me, although maybe in the terms of reaction formation, they'll learn what not to do, which is sometimes useful. I'm very thankful again to all of you for being here and for helping over the years. And I'm very grateful for having this wonderful family that I did not expect when Stephen and I got married that we would have three daughters, three beautiful daughters. So thank you very much for being here and for sharing in this simcha for us. And I have to tell you, the next one will be a boy. Because Shira noticed that I left one of my cards down there, and she was too discreet to pass it to me. But I was looking for a dvar, something to link into the parshas, either before or after this Shabbos, and a learned friend of mine said, "No problem," he said, "in Shmini, it gives the punishment for children who don't respect their parents and their Chayat Misa." But I decided to skip over that, not to look at that one, but I wanted you to know that I did try it.
So Miriam neglected to mention that my great-grandfather had three daughters, and then my grandfather, my namesake, was born. And my grandfather had three daughters, and then my Uncle Eddie was born. So there is a tradition of three daughters and then a son. And we'll see what's happening. Let me see here. Margaret. She reached a preschool program, and she was going to bring a show and tell thing in. And it had to be beginning with a letter of the alphabet. So each child was asked to bring something that began with the assigned letter, and the letter that week was A. So we asked Margaret what she wanted to bring for the letter A. She suggested a bracelet. We explained bracelet does not begin with A. So Miriam told her she could bring an apple, an alligator. I offered an acorn, and Margaret responded, "I don't want to take any fruit or animal. I want something natural, like a necklace." So, again, we're thankful that you're here, and I think we can adjourn to the next room.